Alright, let's talk about web hosting and domain names. Now, for starters, if you do have your own web hosting and you know how that works, then you can go ahead and skip this video. But if you don't have a web hosting account, stick around. So web hosting is basically a company that have a bunch of servers that host your web files on. So when people type in your .com name, then they would go to your website and therefore they can see it and interact with you in that way. So first, if you want to do your own research about different web hosting companies, you can. But I used a couple, not too many, probably like 3 or 4. But like some are the same, some are not. This one I've been using actually for longer than the other ones because it was a free one at the time. So I just decided, well, I use this free one just to get my hands used to it, get my hands dirty. And then eventually, I just started using different ones to see the difference. And this one seems to be the best. It has a lot of features in it, and of course, it's free. And there's also you can pay for it too. But it's really good. Like I said, it got a lot of features for free, which is really excellent if it's your first time doing web hosting and doing any of this web building and web designing stuff in that sense. So you should go ahead and click the link at the bottom and it will take you to this page right here. And then when you go there, just go ahead and sign up. And then you'll be able to just fill out the forms, things like that. I already have my account, so that's what it is. So if you have your own domain, you can type that in. Or if you want to get a free domain, you can type that in. But just keep in mind that if you use their free domain, you're not going to have a .com. It's going to be this .net16.net. So once you, why don't you go ahead and fill that out, and I'm gonna pause the video and I'm gonna log into my account and show you a little bit more stuff. Okay, so here we are in your cPanel. So if you happen to sign up, then you will have a spot like this. Now for this first row, we're going to talk about this, the main menu portion. You got your account details, getting started information so you can learn more, frequently asked questions, change your password, and you can upgrade your account right there. Next is your domain area, there's subdomains, partner domains, add-on domains, domain tools, web promotion guide. Now the subdomain is basically, if you've seen websites where it's it'll be like blog dot, your domain.com. That's what it is, like a subfolder in a sense. So instead of it being like your domain name.com / a folder or a blog, it will be blog dot, so on and so forth. So scroll down a little bit more. All right, you got your mail stuff right here. So this is cool because your mail will be your domain. So it'll be like your name at your .com. And so instead of it being like Gmail, it'll have your web address .com. So it looks more professional. So that's cool. Now MySQL and PHP, these are databases. So if you you can download WordPress and upload it to your file manager, which I'll talk about, and then basically you can have your own WordPress site. So you can do it like that. And then you got website templates, which are pretty cool, but some are just kind of limited in their stance. You will have to know how to program in HTML and CSS in order to add on more or to be able to erase stuff. Alright, so I'm going to skip these two parts right here and talk about that. So if you scroll down a little bit more at the bottom, you got a website builder, which are really good. It's just kind of drag and drop in that sense. But sometimes the thing about that, they just take forever to load. That's why I don't like to use them, because there's a lot of stuff you might not need, but it's just still going to read it as you do need it in the background. So that's why I really don't use those website builders. Now if you go to the bottom, password protected directories, cron job, redirects, IPN deny management, link protection, These are all for some different stuff. If you really want to get into it, you could just type in Google and find out more about this stuff. I really don't worry too much about that stuff. The main part is this FTP details and more of this information up here, and your file manager. Now your file manager is going to be your place where you put your files at. So for example, so just keep that in mind. This is what that is. So I'm gonna move up to FTP for now. So go ahead and pause the video, look around right here, get your eyes familiar with this. And remember, they send you all your information to your email that you use to sign up for, so you can find all your information, which is your password and things like that. So yeah, you can go ahead and click the file manager. I'm not right now. I'm gonna just jump into FTP, or File Transfer Protocols. Alright, so let's get into FTP. So I'm gonna go ahead and go to Google. Let me create a new window. It's FTP. We scroll down a little bit. You will find this one, FileZilla, and that's the one I use. What the hell? Stupid people in the world. FileZilla, FTP. So you're gonna go ahead and open that up. As you can see, you can read this overview. Of course, my screen is a little bit smaller, but go ahead and download for whatever you have. You have Windows, click right here. If you have Mac OS or anything else, just go ahead and download it right there. So while you're downloading it, I'm gonna pause the video and open up my FileZilla and show you more about it. Okay, so I have my FileZilla opened up and I already logged in. Now if you look right here, these are your files right here, and these actually represent your file manager. So it's a lot easier to use the FTP or your FileZilla instead of logging into your web hosting account, then logging into this file manager account, because you got to re-enter the password. Using this FTP, it's just much faster. It's all right here, and you will find your host, your username, and your password if you click on your FTP details. Now if something's wrong with your password, you can always change it. Once you click this, there will be a button that says if you want to change your password, or if you don't find it in there, you can go up to your account details and it'll show you all that good information. So once you downloaded your FTP, go ahead and put in your information all right here. And if you, like I said, all your information is in your FTP details. So when you log in, and don't worry about this port right here. This is automatically, it does it automatically. Unless you know about ports, then just leave it blank. So once you log into your FTP, you're gonna see these files right here. Now of course, you're not gonna do nothing with these ones. You're just gonna go ahead and open this public HTML. And as you can see, I got my website already in here. There's a bunch of files, but more or less you see some of the same ones, like CSS, images, I got a portfolio, I got a store page, things like that. I got a blog page where I store all my blogs at. So for you, what you want to do is basically copy all these and then simply drag them into your folder. Now I don't want to do that right now because I don't want to mess up my files, but that's as simple as that. And then once you drag them in, remember your index page is your home page. So whatever that page is, is going to be your home page. So just like mine, I got my index right here, I got my about page, and I got a contact right here. And don't worry too much about this other stuff. But those are your main ones, as in yours, your index, contact, and about. And then of course your must read, you can go ahead and save that somewhere on your desktop just in case you need to go through the videos again. So now that you're here and you got your files uploaded, let's talk about domain names, because depending on if you got your domain with this web hosting account, or if you went to, let's say, GoDaddy and bought a domain right there, there is some things you have to change up if your domain does not work. So I'm gonna go ahead and pause the video again, go into my GoDaddy account and show you how to point your domain to this web hosting. But like I said, if you bought a domain name with this web hosting, you don't have to worry about it. Everything should work out good. But if you have a domain with some other company and you have this web hosting company, you're gonna have to point to it. So I'm gonna go ahead and pause that and go to my GoDaddy account. Okay, so you purchase your domain name, say from GoDaddy or wherever you felt comfortable buying it from, or whatever the cheapest was. It's perfectly fine because they're more or less going to work the same. So now that you got your domain, you have to find this name server settings. So it might be different depending on what company you have, but there will be one. And if you need more help with the company, you can just go ahead and contact them, and they will be glad to help. So mine already changed it to custom, but when you have it in standard, it's going to have something like this, and it's a one.godaddy.com. So you're going to want to push custom or find a way so you can change it. And once you find that part, you're going to want to change it to your web hosting company's domain name. And to locate your name servers on your web hosting, just simply click your account details and it will show you all that information. So as you saw, I had mine like this. You can also use this number, but I think it's just much safer to use this. So you got to have both of them. So it's name server 1 and name server 2, and you're basically going to plug those in to your domain's name company. But like I said, if you have your web hosting and your domain from the same company, all this will be the same. So hopefully that makes sense. And now that you got your web hosting, and now that you got your domain, and we talked about the FTP and how to upload your files, let's go ahead and get started with your file and your website you want to create. Hello, good morning, good evening to wherever you may be in the world. I am your instructor, Peter Idunlap. So if you're watching this right now, then you obviously extracted your folder and opened your files. But if you weren't able to open it in your web browser, I want to go through that real fast. So this is your file. So you will want to right click on the file you want to open, and instead of open, you want to go to open with. And now from there you can select your browser. I have mine open in Google Chrome, but you can pick whichever browser you like. And that's how you get it, so you can be able to see it like this. And if you haven't yet downloaded your Sublime text editor, I suggest you pause the video and go and type in Sublime text edit in your browser, and you'll be able to find their website and go ahead and download that text editor, because you need a text editor to create your web pages. You can't use a word processing like Microsoft Word or anything like that. It has to be a text editor. So if you haven't, go ahead and download it. If you have it, let's go ahead and open that. And the same thing applies when you do download it. You want to right click, open with, and it should pop up somewhere right here. And if it's not, go down to choose another app, and then this little window will pop up and you'll be able to find it right here. Since I always use it, it's right at the top, but yours should be somewhere below. And like I said, you don't want to use anything else besides a text editor. So you don't want to use like WordPad for instance. Alright, so since I have mine open already, let's begin and start with paragraphs. Now, this might seem like a lot of writing, but I'm going to show you a few ways you can just have it short or extend it. So I'm going to scroll down, and as you can see, a lot of spaces in between, and just think of everything as blocks, and everything is sectioned off as is. I'm going to scroll down. Now this big chunk of text is your paragraph and where you're going to store your articles and write your blog at. So for starters, we have two of them. We got the image right here, and then right below it is your paragraph. So let's say you just want to use one paragraph and one image. You don't need two. Instead of deleting it, why don't you go ahead and type this in. So you want to use a less than and explanation and a dash, and I'll scroll right past this P right here with the closing, or this forward slash, but it's called a closing tag. Now you go dash again, and then a greater than sign. Now I want you to go ahead and save it, which is Control S, or you can go up to File and Save, or Save As if you want. Now we're going to hit refresh or F5. Now you can see, now I only have one paragraph, so that's fine. So let's start right there. And that's how you, these are called comments, so it just tells the browser we're just gonna skip all that. So that's just good for now. So if you want to, add it again, you can just copy and paste it. So it's good just to leave it like this, and then when you start to write more and more, that's all you got to do is just copy and paste it. If you want the image, it's this piece right here. But if you don't want the image, you just copy it from this P all the way to this P right here. And like I said, this is called an opening tag, and this is a closing tag. But enough about that. Anything in between is your paragraph. So keep that in mind. And let's say you, let's type in my first paragraph. And then you keep on going if you want. So say you're writing, and then you can go ahead and type in this, and then you can make your new paragraph right here. Then go ahead and close that off. And basically that's how paragraphs work. It's not too much, it's not too complicated. Should be fairly easy, and you can always pause the video and rewind it to understand it a lot more. But that's what it is. So you can type in outside of the paragraph and it still will work. So we'll go ahead and save that. And as you will see, it's still in there, but it doesn't have any spacing from the left side right here. It's all the way pushed over. So that's why you want to keep your paragraphs in between these P tags. And the same goes for these. If you want to just go ahead and copy this and paste it right below this, that's fine. It's up to you. But that is paragraphs. So now let's jump into images. Okay, let's talk about images and links, because those are important. And as you can see, when I hover over, I got my social links right here. As I hover, they will lead to my Instagram or Twitter, Google Plus, or Facebook profile account, so people can find out more about me. And as far as this will be your logo spot, I just have this image as a placeholder. And as you scroll down, as we've seen, we have this image also. So these images are all going to work in the same fashion. And if you click on your about page, it'll be the same fashion, and all this, even the paragraphs and everything else, will function the same. And I will talk about colors and things like that afterwards. Same thing goes with your contact. You got your image, you got your paragraphs, and right here, this form, I will talk about when I talk about coloring, which is more towards the end of this. So let's go ahead and Go back to your single blog page. Now if you happen to click the home button already, you will notice that they have one box right here ready to go. So this is basically when you write your blog, you're gonna store it in here, and then when they click, they're gonna go to the story. But we will talk about that in the workflow video. Alright, so let's jump into your code and let's find your image. So I'm gonna start at the top. Like I said, it's all gonna be the same format. That's why I'm gonna mention links also. So I'm gonna scroll all the way to the top and find your social buttons right here. Alright, cool. So don't worry too much about things like this. This is basically a container, if you want to think about that, or a block. And anything in between, which is we're going to talk about, which will be right here, are your images and your links. And the same thing goes for your menu. So when you click your about, it's going to take you to your about page. So as far as images goes, if you go ahead and open your file and click on the images, all these images are basically the ones that you see. So I got my Facebook, my Instagram, my Twitter, and Google+. And all these you can download them if you want. They're free, so you can download them and put them in your image folder. And just make sure you have the correct spelling and the correct extension, which is, as you can see right here, it says item type PNG file. That's what the extension is. So there's different ones. There's JPEG, there's this PNG, there's a GIF, and there's a ICO or icon. So there's different ones. Just make sure everything is spelled as is. So basically that's how it works. I have a folder called images, and in that folder I have a photo called Facebook32.png. Now the same thing goes for every image you see on the website. It's all like, got my Google, which I showed you, and Twitter and Instagram also. If you scroll down a little bit more, this piece right here, image source, image placeholder, is this main one right here. So when you create your logo and you want to find this piece, this is where it is. So for example, if this piece right here, if something's wrong with my image, and like I said, there's JPEG and PNG and different ones, so just make sure your extensions are correct, and spelling also. So let's say if I do that, I'm messed up, I just typing fast, go ahead and save it. Now logo goes here, and what that is this alternative or alternate, whatever you want to call it, basically saying if something goes wrong, this will appear. So I'm gonna go ahead and fix that back to normal. The same thing goes for images. If your folder is called images, but you forgot to add the S, the same thing will happen. The link will be broken. So you got to make sure your spelling is correct and things like that. Now let's scroll down a little bit, and we talked about the paragraphs and the image right here. So when you are ready to put your image for your paragraph, which would be right here, that's where you will go. And like I said, for visual wise, you know where your paragraph's right here, so therefore my image should be near it. And I know the top is a little bit more, I can't say difficult, but maybe harder to find since it is a placeholder image. But that one will be right here. And then I put some text right here to kind of help you find it easier. And you can change this to whatever you want, but that text is right below it right here. So in hindsight, you can say, oh, all right, here's the text right there, so the image should be close by. All right, so let's scroll back up to your social buttons again, and let's talk about these A tags, or anchor tags is what they call them. So basically you surround the image so you can link the image, so when people hover on the image, it's ready to get clicked and linked. So as far as this goes, if you have a Facebook profile, this is where you're gonna put in your Facebook profile address. So I'm not gonna go to my Facebook, but you can pause the video or go to your Facebook and your profile, and at the top you're going to have, of course, an address like this. Well, it's going to be different, but you're just going to go ahead and copy that address and place that right there. So basically, you go to your Facebook profile. Once you go to your Facebook, you log in, go to your profile, and then at the top they're going to have the address. You're just basically going to copy and paste that into between these quotes right here. And the same thing goes for if you have a Google Plus, same thing goes. Go to your profile, copy the address, which will be in this bar, just like the YouTube. Same thing, just go copy the address and put it in there. So basically I can do this, copy this, and put it in. Let's say I just put it in my Facebook, save it, and I'm gonna go ahead and refresh. So if I go to my Facebook, I'm gonna click it, and it's gonna take me to that place I want it. So think of it like that. Wherever you want to send them to, just make sure you place it in between the quotes. And the same thing goes for your Twitter and your Instagram. So let's scroll down a little bit more. The same thing goes for your menu right here, your home, about, and contact. They have links. Now index is your home page, and when you get your web hosting, that is important because you need an index, because that is your home page. Alright, so keep that in mind, and just remember these A tags. Whenever you see this, that means alright, this is a link. And the same thing goes for your about and your contact. So if you click right here and you go to your files, you can see you got your about and your contact and your index, which is your home page. And basically that's how things work. And as far as like I said about images and how they are in a folder called images, the same thing goes for anything else. So if I had a folder called about and I had my about page in there, my link will have to be about folder / and in that folder I have an about page. But don't get too caught up on that stuff. Just think of more of the images and also videos, which I don't have no videos in here, but the concept is the same. You have a folder, and in that folder I have a video called such and such. And I believe that should be good for images, and the same thing goes for your other pages, your about and contact. All these principles will apply. And since we are talking about videos, let's scroll down a little bit. And as you can see, we got a video spot right here. And that's what we are going to talk about next. Alright, so let's talk about videos and how to embed them. Now, as you know, we went through basically all this paragraphs, the images. I didn't talk too much about the categories, but in hindsight, it's pretty much like the top menu in there. And when you scroll in your code, you should be able to find it. It'll be right here. You got your categories and things like that. So let's get to these videos. Now, there's two ways of doing it. I'm going to talk about, I guess, the more harder way, let's say, which would be this code. And then the more easier way after. So for starters, like I said, when you see things like this, or you see an opening tag and a closing tag, just think of them as boxes. So in your code, like I said, you don't really have to worry too much about this stuff, but if you want to, I will point you in the right direction after we are done. So same thing as your image, you got a source, so just think of that as the address. So your source is going to be your folder called videos, which will be right there, and in that folder you're going to have your video in there. Now I don't have a video in there, of course, and I just put this as a placeholder. So your video name or whatever your video might be, that's where you're going to put it. And you need this type, which would be the video, telling the browser, saying the type of video it is MP4. And if the MP4 don't work, this is the OGG. So, but most likely, this one, you're probably not going to save your video as OGG. But if you want to be on the safe side and have 2 videos in your folder, then you can go ahead and do it like that. But just keep in mind, your MP4 is going to work majority of the time. And if it doesn't work, this will show up in their browser. Just like the image that we talked about, the alternative. Like, so if something's wrong with your image, this will show up. So that goes for this video. Like I said, just keep this around. If you don't want to use this one, let's talk about the easier one. So I'm going to go ahead and comment this out. And again, right at the bottom. Now let's move on to this. So go ahead and erase this around there. And now this is pulling it from YouTube. So basically, you go to your YouTube account. You choose your video. And right at the bottom, there's a share button. And you click embed. Now, since we already have all this information, we just want to go to source right here and just go ahead and copy all that until there. We'll copy it, jump back to your code, and since I got the source also, I'm going to go ahead and paste that in there. Now we can go ahead and save that. Now let's hit refresh or F5 or this right here. Refresh it. Now I got my video in there. So now that we have our video in there, just keep in mind you can get your videos from YouTube, and like I said, you just simply copy and paste this whole thing and just go ahead and add it into your code. And keep in mind, when if you download videos, just make sure you have your video in your videos folder and make sure all the spelling is correct. And like I said, you might not need to save it as a OGG. They just have this just in case the MP4 don't work, then you can use the OGG. But more or less the MP4 will work. So now that we discussed the videos, we discussed the images, and we discussed the paragraphs, let's talk about a little bit of styling, which is changing colors, font size, and things like that. And that is in our CSS folder. So go ahead and upload your videos. Until then, I will get the CSS video ready and styling. Okay, have fun. Take care. Alright, so now that we discussed the videos, let's jump into your CSS, which is your styling. So if you open your text editor, and let's scroll away from the video tag and go all the way up to the top. Now this information, you don't have to worry about it. I will talk about that after we talk about CSS. But this line right here is important because this is your link to your style page. Now all this information you will need, but you don't have to really worry about that too much. This is important right here. So when we talked about your links and your anchor tags or A tags, this is the exact same thing. And as far as the same thing as images go, there's a folder called CSS, and in that folder there's a single blog style raw.css. So I'm gonna go ahead and open that. So in here, you jump into your CSS, and now you have 3 of them. You got one for your about page, your contact, and your style. So since I have mine open, I'll just go ahead and open that up. Now this is all your style. So for each item in your blog, there is a specific style for it. So if we jump in here, we can see we have a hashtag wrapper. Now if we scroll down a little bit, we will see we have an ID and it's called wrapper. So don't get too caught up in this. but this simply just saying this div or HTML tag has an ID called a wrapper, and in between this div, everything in between this, all this information right here, all the way to here, is what's going to be styled. So just think of that like that. It's just a name and it represents this. So let's say I wanted to change the width or the height of it. You can do that. And this will be basically this whole top area. So all this information right here is in between that wrapper. So for instance, the wrapper is 710 pixels. So I'm going to go ahead and change that to 310 and save it real fast and see what happens. Refresh. As you can see, it moved up and now it's only 310 pixels. Now this blank space is because there's more other ones that are 710 pixels. So right here, change that to 310, find the next one, change that to 310, go ahead and change that to 310. So I'm going to go ahead and save that, and voila, now you can have it that way if you want. And now you see that text at the bottom right there, so go ahead and put that as 0. So this piece all right here, that's why it looks all a little funky. That is this text slogan. So I'm going to go ahead and refresh. So now it's up there now. But you can change the font size. So if we go ahead and find that piece, as you can see right here, class is text slogan, which is this. Now if I want to change this font size, which is H1, I can simply copy and paste this. And now right after this, you put the H1, and I'm going to go ahead and delete that, and we'll put font size, and let's just put it something real small, 12 pixels. I'm going to go ahead and save that. And now as you can see, it is like this. But that's for for you if you want to go ahead and change that. But I'm going to go ahead and put everything back to normal. So everything is back to 710. And I like it that way. You might not like it that way. You might like it the other way actually. 310 pixels. But it's cool because right when they go to your page, you know, they got the photo of you. Some text you want to change this to. And they got your logo all right here. So that's cool. So let's jump back and talk about, let's talk about those images right fast. The social icon module. So ID, you look for that. You say, all right, social icon module. Now you just simply find it right here. So I got the social icon module, but I don't want to mess with that. I want just the image. So I'm going to go ahead and change the size of these images right here. So it's right here. I'm going to change this to, let's put 32. Save it. And now they are bigger. So that is basically CSS in that sense. So you simply find your ID or class, and then you find it right here. So for instance, this is this width right here. So this is like a, think of it as a container all around this that stretches all the way to next to this image right here. That's a container, and in that container I got images, which are right here. So that's the next one over. So you got the container, and then inside that container I have images, and I want those images to be the width of 32 pixels and the height of 32 pixels. Now text decoration, if I delete this, you will notice there's a little line at the bottom. It should pop up. If not, then that's fine, then it works out good. But usually there's some type of line like in the corners right there. So you just put that, keep that right there, text decoration none. Alright, so that should make sense, hopefully. And the same thing goes right here. The A is the link, so it refers to this A tag. So I think if I, actually I'm gonna delete that and it's going to have some little tiny lines at the bottom. Now the reason they have these are because of links. If you look at your menu right here, there's a underline and it just simply says this is a link, and that's how this goes for the images also. So that's why I put that text decoration none. So therefore it won't have the line, it's just simply your image right there. Now let's go ahead and talk about this background image. Now as far as images goes, it's the same thing. Wherever you place your images, you want to link it right there. So right here is background image. The URL, which is your address, simply points to there. Now since I have it on my desktop, I have to use this entire address right here. But for you, you shouldn't shouldn't be able to have to use it that way. You should be able to use it in this fashion. So when you upload it to your web hosting account, you simply have it like that. So if I'm gonna save it, refresh, and it's not gonna be there no more because the link is wrong. So if you have it uploaded to your web hosting and you have it like this, images / your image you want, and it's not working, just go ahead and add the / right at the beginning, save it, and then you should be good. And the reason for that is because when you're in another folder, you're literally jumping out of that folder and jumping into this folder. So that / is what might stop it, stop you from having your image from working. So just keep that in mind, that those images, when you're in another file, you have to make sure you're always kind of parsing it to it. So I'm gonna go ahead and just keep it regular. And if you are, when you do work on your desktop, say you're writing a blog and things like that, and it's on your desktop, you just might have to change, this or something. So your user, and then you change it to your name, and most likely you're gonna save your folder or file on your desktop. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave that. And now let's jump down a little bit. Let's save that again. So let's jump down a little bit and let's talk about this category first. Actually, let's just jump to the body, let's say. So I want to change the background of this color to, let's say, green. So I'm going to simply type in body. And remember, this is referring to the tags in here. So if you see this body tag right here, anything in between that is going to have a background color of green. So let's go ahead. You can type that in if you want. Save it. Now let's hit refresh. All right. So now you can see you have your background is green. Now same thing goes for this middle area part right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and find that. So since it was my paragraphs, I'm just simply drag it all the way down to the paragraphs, and now voila, here we are. Article paragraph container. Now let's find that in our CSS. And usually it's so I have put it in just one, as you see it is how I put it in here. So if you just keep scrolling down, you will find it. And right here, article container. Let's go ahead and put the background color to white. Let's see how that works. Save it. Alright, so that's cool. Scrolling down, alright, we do the same thing for the footer. The same thing goes, you just scroll down until you find your footer. So I think I passed this somewhere right here. Article images. Okay, so there we go. ID footer container. So simply find your footer container. Alright, it's right here. Now background. And you remember you can always copy and paste this, so you don't have to keep on typing. Background color is white. Alright, so there we go. Alright, so let's say that's cool. but I want to change this category box to red, let's say, or whatever color you like. Same thing applies. You just find it, since it's right here. So I called it top nav module, and you simply go to your CSS, look for that top nav module. And like I said, I put everything in order, so it should be good like that. All right, so here we are, top nav module. Background color is black, but I want it to be red. Save it. And there you go. Now you might notice this little border around here. To fix that, you have to go up to the body, and I would just put margin to 0. And margin is just like a box around it. So I put it at 0. Now it fits the whole grid. So you can leave it like that if you want. But if not, you can go ahead and leave it the way it was. So now, let's say I want to put an image in this background right here. You can do that the same way. So let me just go ahead and copy and paste this. All of it, all the way to where it says background size 100%. Go ahead, paste it right there, save it. Now let's see what happens. Refresh. Oh, you see, it still got the green, but that green is behind it. So that's how it works. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that green also. Save it. Now, when you refresh, it should be good. And as you can see, that is the same image I have right here. I just have this in the background. So you can choose really whatever photos you want, really. So if let's try this one right here. See if this works. Go ahead and copy that. It's a JPEG. And simply just put it right there. Paste it. .jpeg. Save it. Now it should be that color. And as you can see, it is. So whatever type of background you want, that's how you will put it. So that is something cool. So now that we discussed it, background, image, styling, and things like that, height, width, let's scroll up to the top, and I want to talk a little bit about this metadata information all right here. And this is only for browser, but keep in mind, a little bit is important. So go ahead and either style it up or keep it the same, however you want. And next we're going to jump into metadata. Alright, so let's talk about metadata. Now metadata is all for web browsers. As you can see, you don't see any of that information in your web page. This is all for the browser. So you can see we got a couple of lines of code right here. But first I want to talk about these two right here, just to get these over with. Now this one right here, these title tags, is simply all right here in the top of your web browser, in the tabs right here. So if I go ahead and change that up to, let's say, security page, save it, and as you can see at the top right here, when I refresh, it changes that right there. So you can go ahead and change that to whatever your blog is talking about. And the same thing goes for your home page also. Now if we look right here, this is the image that's right next to security page. So I'm not going to go ahead and I'm not going to change that image, but the same thing goes. Link rel, shortcut icon, this stuff you do need. It tells the browser like this is what it's for. And it's basically, this is the important piece right here. is your link, and of course the same thing goes as all images. You place your image in your image folder, and then you simply type in your picture you want to use. And now you have to have it saved as .ico. It can be .jpeg. Try that. Unless they've changed it up without me knowing, it shouldn't work. Oh, so it does work. Cool. But in convention, you have to have it as ICO. But now you know you can change it to whatever, so I guess that's cool. And don't worry, every other day they're always doing something to web browsers to make things like this more easier. So like for instance is ICO. Before it was only ICO, you couldn't use a JPEG, and I tried plenty of times, but now as you see, you can use it, so that's fine. We'll go ahead and refresh that, and you can see it does work. Alright, so enough about that. We talked about those. We just talked about styling. So let's just jump back up to just these few tags right here. So after you write your blog, things like that, you're gonna want to come up here and change your keywords. So your keywords to find your website. Your website. Sorry about that. So if you start at the beginning, meta, the name, telling the browser, all right, these are going to be keywords, and then the content, of course, is your keywords. So this blog, let's say what were we talking about? Home security. So you can put technology, home security, safe home, anything that relates to that. So think of it as in Google, when you type in keywords in Google, of course certain web pages pop up, and this is how Google finds them. So that's how it works. So you can keep on going with that, but it goes for anything you want to write. So say you want to write a blog about Kobe Bryant. So first you're going to put, Kobe Bryant, Lakers. You can put number 8. You could probably put Phil Jackson if you want, but not necessarily relating to Kobe Bryant, but it is part of the Lakers, so it just encompasses all the Lakers stuff and stats and things like that. So yeah, if your main thing is only about Kobe Bryant, then you can go ahead and put that and fill in as much information about Kobe right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that back to regular. So just keep that in mind, your keywords, and this is going to be after you write your blog. So therefore, you don't, let's say you want to write a blog about, Kobe Bryant, but then you start writing, it ends up becoming about like LeBron James or something. So just write your blog first, then you come up here and simply just put in your keywords. Hopefully that sounds easy. Now let's move on to the next. Same thing, meta name, description, content, and I just put more information about your site. Now this part, you're just gonna basically put like a sentence or two. It's not gonna be keywords. It's gonna be a sentence or two. So if you're talking about Kobe Bryant, you can just put Kobe Bryant from Los Angeles Lakers and things like that. So it's simply, same thing goes. Instead of just words separated by commas, it's just gonna be like a short sentence or two. So if we move down to the next, now you got your meta name, author, of course telling the browser this is the author of the page. The content is your name, so you are the author. Just go ahead and fill in your name right there. Next, refreshes your browser. Now this stuff I don't use, I just put it in there because I just wanted it to get it out the way, so I don't have to keep on retyping stuff and things like that. And the content, so if I want to refresh the page every 30 seconds, you can put that, or every 60 seconds. And so on and so forth. Like I just don't refresh it. I just leave it the way it is. But you can refresh it if you want. Go ahead. Next, we are helps the browser mobilize the web page. So meta name, viewport. So basically saying browser, what size is this? And then the content, the width equals device and width, let's say. An initial scale 1.0. Now this stuff is all for mobile devices. Like I'm not too sure exactly like what it means in like terms of definitions, but it does help your page become mobile friendly. So just keep that around. Now next, meta content, text HTML, character set, UTF-8, HTTP equivalent, content type. So all this is, of course, browser, like I said, but there's different character sets, but the main one is this. But like say if you're in a a different country, they'll have a different set, character set. But just keep that around, you should be good. Alright, and that is your metadata. But see, the most important ones are probably just these top threes. Mainly the top two, but if you want to put your name right here, you can. But these top twos are very important. So after you write your blog, you come up here, you fill in your keywords, and then you should be good. That way Google have a better chance of finding you. Now there's more meta tags like this. And if you want to learn more about them, you can go to this w3schools.com, and basically this is what you can see right here. It has all the stuff that we kind of went through, but not in much details. But if you want to learn more about it, just go and it's these two right here, HTML and CSS. So after that, you should be good. They talk about meta tags and things like that, but it's not an instructional video. It just simply says this is this and this is what it does, So whenever you feel like you want to learn more about it, just go ahead and go to W3 Schools. So now that we got that out the way and everything seems good, we talked about your images and where to locate them, your menus, and how to link them using those A tags. And also for your social buttons, when you go to your Facebook profile, you simply copy the address and add it into your anchor tag. So we talked about that. We talked about this background images, also this background image for the body, the categories, how to change the color, how to change font size a little bit, how to add in your videos, and so on and so forth. All this stuff is more or less the same. And the same thing goes with your about page, more or less all the same. Got your images, things like that, how to change colors, and how to locate a specific box and things like that. And your contact goes for the same, how to locate stuff and things like that. Now as far as a form goes, we will talk about that shortly, but you don't have to worry too much about that. I think just better just place your email right here and they can just email you like that. Alright, so now that we talked about majority of the stuff, let's go ahead and talk about the workflow. Alright, so this is the workflow video. Now depending on how much you want to write, which you can write a blog every day or once a week, hell, once a month. It's all up to you, but this is the workflow. So I went ahead and stripped all the colors and made it back to normal, as you can see. So now let's jump to your home page. Alright, so here we are. You got your main image right here. You got your category boxes, let's say, your story boxes. And now we go to the bottom, they got a subscribe newsletter, which I will talk about after we get down to business. Alright, so let's go ahead and go to your folder. Now I have one ready with extra templates, so you can go ahead and just basically just copy your single blog into here, so therefore you have your pages ready to go. So therefore you don't have to really do too much changing them. So you want to open your index in your text editor. I already have mine open. So let's go ahead and jump on this. So we talked about all this meta stuff. Again, talked about the title, talked about the image, and we talked about CSS, which is our styling. And This is one way of styling it also, but the same thing goes as the other one. You simply find the name of your tag and then just go ahead and change whatever you like to change about it. So I'm going to scroll past all this, and as you can see, there's a lot of code in here. This is all for styling and a mobile also. So let's just keep scrolling down. Now we are at your menu right here, which is the green button on top. So if you hover over, you got your home, about, and contact. Now the reason we have two of them is one's for mobile, as I put right here, and the other one is for full-on desktop, as we showed you right now. So you scroll down, we got your categories, which will be located right at the bottom. And if you see it, you scroll, it still stays fixed. Now maybe on yours it might be shifted up depending on how big your desktop is and your screen, but just using the CSS, you can be able to move that around and push it down or up. But if it's right there at the bottom as it is on mine, then you are good. So we're gonna go ahead and scroll down. We talked about images. Scroll a little bit more, and now here we are. So we are in the square. So this is basically where you're going to put your stories at after you write it. So for starters, I'm going to go ahead and use those comment tags. Explanation. So I'm going to comment this out so I only have one box to show. And then right after the last one, dash dash, greater than. So save it. Let's see where we are. Alright, so now we got our one box. So basically, you can get a good picture right when they come. They're going to see this, your article, or whatever you like to write right here. They're going to click it and then get sent to the full article. So this is going to be a quick demonstration. So what I want to do, let's say I want to find a story about technology. Alright, let's see. Let's go Tech News CNN. And like I said, you're probably going to want to write your own, but if you just feel like you need to copy and paste, stories, and as you can see, they have it in the same fashion. So I click on one. And what's a good story? I guess this: addicted to smartphones. Here's why. So basically, like I said, you will most likely type your own. I'm going to just go ahead and just copy and paste. So I'm going to just grab a nice chunk. If this page will let me load. Alright. Yeah, I guess we can just grab this piece right here. We'll go ahead and copy that. Now, since I have my one regular page open, I'm gonna go ahead and go to my extra templates and just grab one and just change the name to, what was that title again? Smartphone addiction. So I'll just put that. That's fine. So you go ahead, get your page you want to use, you right click, go down to rename, and smartphone addiction. Just put that. Oops, too many D's in there. Now, when you first say you're in your text editor and you just put file new, obviously it's going to be blank, but you can do it this way too and just go ahead and copy and paste all this into your new one and then save it as what you want to save it as. But when you save as, you want to make sure you add the extension. So if I put smartphone addiction, now you have to save it as .html, and that's going to tell the browser that this is a web page. So if you check right here at the bottom, if you scroll a little bit, you'll see that there is a automatic extension adder, let's say. So you don't have to put .html. you can just simply call it like that, and then this will pop up. As you can see, .html, this will add it on automatically. But for the most part, sometimes it might automatically pop up right there, but since mine doesn't have it right here, and it's in all files, then you're gonna put .html. So I'm not gonna save this. I'm just go ahead. I just wanted to show you that there's different ways. So since I have a file already made that is a HTML file, I don't have to add on the .html as an extension. So I'm gonna go ahead and drag that to my single blog right here. I'm gonna go ahead and open that. Now I'm gonna just scroll to the paragraph and go ahead and do that. So remember, just delete everything in between the p tags, and then just go ahead and paste your story. Next, we can jump in with the images. So there's two ways of doing it. This one don't have a image, but we can just put that in Google, paste it. And a lot of images you can use are free. Some have like licensing fees and things like that, copyrights and all this stuff. So you can you can click this one. Let's say open it in a new tab right here. So there you go. So now there's two ways of doing it. You can download it, download your image from Google. Simply, put it in your image folder and then just call it just like we have right here, and just place it right there. Another way you can do it is just using this address. So it might be long, so I'm gonna go ahead and copy that, and now I'm gonna just go ahead and place it in between the quotes. So that should be good. Now we're gonna go to the title here, and smartphone addiction, the date, whatever date it is, it's August 8th. I just put that. Of course, the author is somebody else, but you're gonna put your name right here. I just put mine, Peter D. All right, we'll go ahead and save that. Now we are good with the social links and things like that. So let's go ahead and find a video for this now. So we're gonna go back to Google, got my smart addictions for videos, and anything you want, you can choose whatever. But like I say, if you use YouTube, it's much easier, much faster. But if you want to download or you have your own video you like to use, that is perfectly fine. And now since we already have our iframe and everything else, I just want to get the source. Now if you look right here, actually I'm gonna show you something real fast. So I'm gonna just copy paste the whole thing. So right here, this width and height will not matter, because in the CSS, which would be right here, and if you find your iframe or video, which will be located right here just above the article social, I already have the width to 100%, the height to 350. So you don't necessarily need to keep this. You can go ahead and delete that. So that's why I say you can just get the source, and that's it. You don't have to worry about copy and pasting the whole thing. So I'm gonna just do that again. Just get the source. Just go ahead and delete all this, and then put the source in there. And paste that. And go ahead and save it. Now, obviously, you can look at it by doing the same thing. Right click and opening it with Google. Then you can check it out. So we scroll down. So we got our image, you got our little paragraph, and now we got our phone. So you can link it like that. And another way is how we're going to do it, which is going to be in your home page. So you click on home, that's what you want. You want to see that image and the title right there. So let's open your index page and just scroll a little bit right here. And you'll see your tech news, and you can go ahead and delete that. Just put your smartphone addiction. And then you go ahead and copy and paste that into the next one. So these are two different titles. Well, this bottom one is for mobile, and the top one is for desktop. And I'll show you after we go through this. So now that we got our title in there, let's go ahead and save that and let's see what happens. Refresh. All right, I got my title. Now for the image. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing. I'm not gonna download it. I'm gonna just simply put it in the image. Now remember, to find your image, it's the IMG source, and in between those quotes is where you're gonna put your image. So I'll go ahead and paste that in there. Go ahead and save it. Refresh. All right, so I got my image now. So when I hover, I see my title, and now the image. So next is gonna be to use your anchor tags, which is this A tag right here. And this is basically going to point to your blog. So I'm just go here, simply just copy that and put it right there in between the quotes. And like I said, you need the .html for it can work. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. Refresh. So now we should be good. Got my image, got my title. Now when I click it, I go to my blog and scroll down. All right, so that's how it works. So now everything's good. Everything is gravy. And now the same thing goes if once you're done, next week you want to write another blog, you can simply copy and paste this right over your first one. So therefore it ends up in that order. So I'm going to save that. And I'll just rewind the video if you have to go through the process again. But I'm not. I'm going to just go ahead and show you that. Of course, there is going to be a new box. So you got your first story right here. Now your newest story will be right here. And like I said, just go through the process of getting your text ready, getting your image, writing your title, and things like that. So now that we have written it, so let's jump into your single blog one. And now, like I said, with the meta tags, you're going to scroll all the way up, and then simply right here, I'm just going to put all your keywords. So smartphone, addiction, addicted to smartphones, and so on and so forth. As many things as you can come up with, that's how you're going to do it. Same thing goes right here. If you're addicted to smartphones, read the blog. Stuff like that. Real fast, real simple. So next, I'm going to talk about forms. All right, let's talk about forms. So I am in my contact page. And if you're not, just simply click your contact page and you will be there. And we are going to simply talk about this form real fast because there's companies out there that provide you forms, and also using their database you can retrieve emails, names, last names, and any extra stuff you would like to use in your form. So there's two of them that I came across that are really good, which is 123 contact form. It's a free version and they got a paid version. It's really easy. You sign up, you get your code and paste it into your contact page. And the same thing goes with MailChimp.com. You simply go there, sign up for it, and then they'll have information on how to get your contact form and get your piece of code. Now I use MailChimp. It's, like I said, it's a good one too. 123 contact form is good also. So once you sign in and you get all the information, and they're going to give you a piece of code, and with that code you're going to copy and paste it in your contact page. So you simply scroll down until you see this contact module section, and then right below it you're gonna just simply delete this one, all this, until you see this end MC embedded sign up. So you're gonna just simply delete that and then paste in your code right there, and it's as simple as that. Now your form might look different than mine. I put a little bit of CSS and I styled it like this, but yours might be looking just a regular plain form, but with CSS you can style it if you want. But for the most part, there's going to be just a nice simple form that will work. So go to either 123 contact form or MailChimp.com, get an account with them, get the piece of code, then add it into this section right below this. And don't forget, just delete this all the way until you see this end MC embedded sign up, and just go ahead and delete that, everything in between, and then you'll have your form ready to go so people can then contact you. Alright, so go ahead and do that.